Good evening and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be looking at a popular fighter, international fighter known as the Tiger. His name is Richard Ihetu. He's from Imo State. He hails from Imo State. He actually gave up everything in his life, his career, to come back home to fight on the Biafran side. This move cost him greatly and he paid a heavy price for it. So in this video we are going to be acknowledging him. We are going to be taking a look at his life, his impact, his contribution in boxing, and what he did. We are going to be saving this video documentary for future purposes so that our youths and the children that will come after us can have a history of our own and what they did, their contributions to life, and how they impacted Igboland positively. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Be a part of it.
Igbos have earned tremendous laurels for Nigeria in various fields of endeavor. Richard Ihetu of Amibo, Orlu in this state, popularly known as Dick Tiger, was described by Adeyinka Makinde in his book Dick Tiger, The Life and Times of a Boxing Immortal, as perhaps the greatest fighter to come out of the African continent, emerging from an environment devoid of substantive traditions in boxing. He would overcome a litany of obstacles before becoming a two-time undisputed world middleweight titleist and undisputed light heavyweight champion.
Sports news: Athletics champion Chioma Ajua and former Super Eagles captain Nwankwo Kanu were among the 100 Nigerians honored by President Goodluck Jonathan at the centenary anniversary. The Atlanta Olympic gold medalist duo, alongside Richard Ihetu, Michael Okpala, and Monday Emuahia, were recognized for their exploits in sports. Ajua won Nigeria's first gold medal at the Olympic Games in 1996, and Kanu led the country's football team to win gold medal at the Games. Ihetu, whose nickname is Dick Tiger, dominated the middleweight boxing category in the 1950s. Okpala, also called Power Mike, is a retired undefeated world heavyweight wrestling champion, while Emuahia is a three-time Paralympic gold medalist.
BBC World Service. I'm Gavin Evans. In a moment, African Perspective takes you back in time to one of Africa's greatest sporting moments.
And there's the bell ending the fight. The decision goes to Dick Tiger, and Dick becomes the new world middleweight champion.
Nigerian boxer Dick Tiger wins the first of his 3 world titles, an achievement that no other African boxer has equaled. For many Nigerians, he was more than just a fighter.
He was a beacon of hope for Nigeria. He was a torchbearer. He was a symbol.
When you think of the great Dick Tiger, he was Richard Ihetu. Born in 1929 in a small Nigerian village, his childhood was spent on the family farm, a world away from the dazzling lights of Madison Square Garden. As a teenager, he moved to the capital, Lagos, where British soldiers introduced him to boxing. It turned out he was a natural. He was so strong, tenacious, and fiercely determined. He quickly owned the local scene. But he knew that to become a true champion, he had to leave home. So, in the mid-1950s, he sailed for Liverpool. The move was so brutal, he took grueling factory jobs just to pay for a room and his training. In the ring, he faced constant racism and was often treated as just the opponent, a guy brought in to make local British fighters look good. He lost his first 4 fights in England, and he nearly gave up. But Richard the Hatter had the heart of a tiger. He kept going. The resilience paid off. With new managers and the sharper style, he started winning. And then, in 1958, he won the British Commonwealth middleweight title. It was a massive win that set him on a path to global stardom. He had survived the worst of it all, and now the world was about to learn his name. With England conquered, Tiger set his sights on the US, the heart of professional boxing. And there, he didn't just compete, he shattered expectations. In 1962, he stepped into the ring with the formidable Gene Fulmer for the world middleweight title. Tiger was the underdog, but for 15 grueling rounds, he dominated Fulmer to win the championship. The victory was so total that when they had a rematch in Nigeria the next year, Tiger won by knockout, cementing his status as a national hero in the first world title fight ever held in Black Africa. But was he done? Not even close. In 1966, he moved up a weight class to challenge Jose Torres for the light heavyweight championship. Once again, he was the underdog, and once again, he won. Dick Tiger was now a 2-division world champion, one of the very few in that era and the first ever from Africa. He was more than a boxer, he was an ambassador for a newly independent Nigeria. His victories were a source of incredible national pride, a symbol of African strength on the world stage. He was even honored by world leaders and even awarded the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth. Dick Tiger had reached the very top. He had everything a man could want and everything to lose. And back home, the drums of war were starting to beat. In 1967, right at the peak of his reign as light heavyweight champion, his homeland was tearing itself apart. Nigeria, a nation whose borders were drawn by colonial mapmakers, was a fragile mix of different ethnic groups. Tensions between the government, largely run by the Hausa Fulani people, and the Igbo people of the eastern region, finally exploded. After facing horrific violence and political exclusion, the Igbo people declared their independence, forming the Republic of Biafra. The Nigerian government's response was swift and brutal. It declared war. This was the start of the Nigerian Civil War, a devastating conflict that would kill over 1 million people, many of them from starvation. Dick Tiger was Igbo. This wasn't some distant political headline for him. This was a life-or-death struggle for his family, his tribe, and his people. The world-famous boxer, the celebrated Nigerian hero, now faced a soul-crushing dilemma. He could stay silent, protect his fame and fortune, or he could stand with his people in their darkest hour. For Dick Tiger, it wasn't even a choice at all. Dick Tiger didn't just lend his name to the Biafran cause. He threw everything he had into it. He publicly renounced his connection to Nigeria and declared his allegiance to the new Republic of Biafra. He went on record condemning the Nigerian government for waging what he called a genocidal war against his people. But he didn't stop there. He actually went back to Biafra and was commissioned as an officer in the Biafran army, using his skills to train soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. He used his fame as a megaphone, speaking to any international journalist who would listen, trying to raise awareness of the horrific starvation sweeping his homeland. He reportedly even sold his championship belts, the symbols of his life's work, and gave the money to help the Biafran refugees. Then came the final act of defiance. He returned his Order of the British Empire, a direct protest against the British government for supporting the Nigerian regime. This was it, the point of no return. He had chosen his side loud and clear, and in the eyes of the Nigerian government, their national hero was now a traitor. In 1970, the war ended. Biafra surrendered. The dream of an independent state was over. The Nigerian government spoke of reconciliation, but for Dick Tiger, there was no forgiveness. The regime was merciless. His properties in Lagos? Confiscated. He was officially banned from the country that once called him its favorite son. His name was systematically scrubbed from official records, and he was denied the honors of any other national sporting legend would have received. While other boxers from his time were celebrated, Dick Tiger was meant to be forgotten. The professional cost was huge, but the personal cost was devastating. He was in exile, Unable to go home, he lost touch with family members, many of whom were killed or simply vanished during the war. He fought his last few fights under the weight of this immense tragedy, with some promoters blacklisting him for his politics. The man who had stood on top of the world was now an outcast, stripped of his home, his fortune, and his legacy. After his last fight in 1970, Tiger's legendary career was over. To support himself, he took a job as a security guard at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. A two-time two-division world champion, once a global icon, was now walking in the quiet halls of a museum, an anonymous figure haunted by the war that had cost him everything. Then, fate dealt one last cruel blow. In 1971, at just 42 years old, Dick Tiger was diagnosed with aggressive liver cancer. Hearing the news, the Nigerian government finally lifted his more than any championship belt. He was a champion in the ring, but his true legacy was defined by the fight he waged outside of it. A fight for his people that made him not just a great boxer, but a great man.
Dick Tiger, Richard Ihiala, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, in my opinion. Dick Tiger had one hell of a story. He had a sad story at the end because he passed away quite young, but he was Nigerian and fighting out of Africa, and people back home would say his physique was that of a god's, and he laid a beating on Reuben Hurricane Carter. Reuben Hurricane Carter had dreams of fighting all of the middleweight contenders after he got up.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Be a part of this channel as we continue to bring you more informative, entertaining and interesting news. On this channel we are going to be trying as much as possible to bring the best videos, the best news, the best updates in the Southeast, Igboland and Nigeria in general.
A guy by the name of Ron Lipton
movement. Thank you very much.
Dick Tiger would like his fight stance, the way he'd stalk his opponents and bang his gloves together. That was like a trait. He'd always keep his right foot planted, very flat-footed on his right foot, and he would keep his hands up to parry. He'd parry jabs and stuff with his gloves. Like, that was his defense, and he was a real force in the ring. Rest in peace to Dick Tiger. Yeah, he had one hell of a story. If you're like a boxing fan and you know nothing about Dick Tiger, like, you're not a boxing fan if you don't know Dick Tiger.